What is up, Ludi Bros Army? It's your boy, Big Bro Lamar Ludi, and I'm sitting down the next day after the Miami Heat have eliminated the Boston Celtics. And it's time to go ahead and just take a look at this team and what went wrong this series. We're going to look over the events of the last 6 games that Boston Celtics had. We're going to try and pinpoint some situations where things went wrong, some things they could have done differently, and how I feel about our team going forward. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Celtics, they matched up in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Miami Heat, and they were eliminated 4-2. Hats off to the Miami Heat. Eric Spoelstra had them ready to play. He had the guys buying into his defensive schemes. They were playing a zone, more zone than they had played at any other time during the season, and they were able to get the job done soundly in 6 games, really just putting a number onto the Boston Celtics and putting them, into a tight spot right away and not letting up. That was the big thing that stood out to me. The Miami Heat did not let up. They came out with a purpose in this game 6, and they were able to withstand and come back from a 6-point deficit in the fourth quarter to go ahead and take the win. Bam Adebayo, who I said he was going to be the X factor in this series during my preview, he came up monstrous. 2 games essentially come down to Bam Adebayo putting the game away. He had the block on Jason Tatum earlier in the series, and then in that fourth quarter, he was the one, not Jimmy Butler. It was Bam Adebayo who drove the ship home for the Miami Heat. Now, the big things that stand out for me about the Boston Celtics, there's 3 things. I'm going to call out 3 things in this video with my team. First off, Jason Tatum. I'm going to start with you. You never were able to get back on track. You never were able to show us that player who was dominating the NBA right before the hiatus when COVID first hit. You were never able quite to get back to that level of play. I think that the going on break really hurt him. I think that hurt Jason Tatum. I think that he was thrown off of the rhythm that he had going. I think that if he would have been able to continue playing those games and continue building that confidence and continue gaining that experience, he might have been able to come into the playoffs, normally. I think he would have been able to come into the playoffs and continue that type of play. But we were never really able to see that Jason Tatum, who was dominating the NBA before we went off on the break. Now, if you're wanting to be the number 1 player on a championship team, you cannot have games where you are going scoreless to start the first quarter or the first half. You can't have games like that. He had a game where he didn't score a single point in the first half. If your jumper is not falling for you, attack the basket. That's basketball 101. If your jumper is not falling for you, attack the basket. Don't continue to jack up threes, to jack up long twos that are highly contested. Put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. That's what he was doing before they went on break. That's how he was getting a bulk of his points, driving, slashing in, making defenders step back a little bit, so then that way it opens up that jumper for you. That's what he needed to do. His last basket, I believe, came off of him attacking the rim. And in this series, it came off of him attacking the rim, getting to the cup, getting a layup. And that's what he's got to do. He's got to be able to put teams, put that pressure on opposing teams and opposing defenses. You're nice, you're long, you're crafty, you have a nice tight handle. Use that skill set to get to the basket, get to the cup, and to get to the free throw line. If your jumper is not falling for you, look to try and get that ball to go through the rim by getting to the free throw line. That's what he needs to do going forward. The next Celtic that I want to call out, and I put a little bit more of the blame, I'm putting the blame in ascending order here, is going to be Kemba Walker. Kemba, you were brought over to go ahead and help take this team to the next level. Now, I don't believe Kemba Walker is the best player on this team. I think Jason Tatum is the best player on this team. But you're coming over to be cardiac Kemba. You're coming over to take some of the pressure off of Jason Tatum to make the game easier for him. I know you're a great teammate. That has been mentioned time and time again, how great of a teammate you are and the difference between you and Kyrie Irving. But the thing is that Kyrie Irving, I believe that he's got a little bit more of that killer instinct in him. Kemba, you cannot allow a zone, and we saw this in the series against the Raptors and then again here against the Heat. You cannot allow a zone to take you so much out of the series. I mean, where were you? There's Gordon Hayward's out with an ankle injury. Jason Tatum had some games where he struggled to score. Then it's got to be on you. You have to step up and you've got to get your points. And I know you're an undersized guard. I understand that. But this is something that you can definitely improve on. And this being your first conference finals, I expect him to improve on it. The same way that I expect Jason Tatum to improve on his performance in this playoffs, really, in this playoffs. Now, that being said, with those two guys and how much they need to improve, this is where I place most of the blame. It's on Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens did not make any adjustments. He was outcoached against Nick Nurse. He was outcoached against the Raptors. The thing is that the Celtics as a team, they had more talent, and they were able to out-talent and outwork the Raptors. But it didn't come to fruition against the Miami Heat. And that's on you, Brad Stevens. You saw the zone in 7 games against the Raptors, and then you saw it in 6 games with the Miami Heat, and you couldn't figure out an answer to it. That's unacceptable for a head coach in the NBA. And you just got a new contract, too, from the Boston Celtics. Now, this is where I'm starting to have an issue with that. Brad Stevens has been the coach for the Celtics for 7 years now. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. What is this, 4 of the last 5 years, but they haven't been able to get over that hump. It's about time. Now, I know that you can make the comment of, well, this was a season that was cut short with COVID. If things would have continued the same way that I was giving that to Jason Tatum. However, when you're the coach and you have a very laid-back personality, I mean, I'm watching, these games, and his message to the team is so even keel. There's no, it's like there's no emotion. He's not pushing them to come out and perform. When he's like that, Jason Tatum seems like he's like that, and Kemba Walker seems like he's like that. You have 3 guys who are very nice, and they're working with each other in a very nice, professional manner. I was glad to hear after, I believe it was Game 3, I was glad to hear that there was a lot of issues, or Game 4, there was screaming and arguing coming in from the locker room after they lost the Miami Heat in that Game 4. I was glad to hear that, because you know what? These guys, you need someone like that. And I believe Marcus Smart is that guy right now. But depending on how this roster is going to shape up next season, because we have a lot of money tied up in some of our head guys, I don't know if Marcus Smart's going to be able to, really still stick around for that much longer. He might be, a piece that you move, which I wouldn't want to move him personally, but he might end up being a piece that you move to get better coming into the next season. Brad Stevens has to have a different sort of personality, and he made mistake after mistake. In the second half of this series, he's deciding to go with the rookie Grant Williams, and he's deciding to switch everything. How did that work for you? We saw 6 games here, and you lost 4 of them with that defensive setup, that defensive scheme. How did that work for you? My next question, Tice. I like Tice. I like him a lot. I mentioned him in previous videos on this channel. However, Tice and what he does, the skill set that he brings to the table, that's not necessarily what you're going to need against a Bam Adebayo and the Miami Heat. Enes Kanter had great minutes for you, and on the other Williams, he had great minutes for you. Why are those guys? He's more, Williams is more athletic than Tice. He's able to get off the ground quicker, challenge shots a little bit better. Why are you not playing those guys and giving them some minutes? And then in the second half, none of them are getting on the court except for Tice. You have to make some changes. You were thoroughly outcoached by Eric Spoelstra. And I put the blame on Brad Stevens for losing this series. This was a golden opportunity. I said it time and time again that this was a golden opportunity for the Boston Celtics this season down at the bubble. It would have been great basketball to have Lakers versus Celtics. The rivalry can continue, and it would have been the step that the franchise needed to take. Let's get over the hump of the Eastern Conference Finals, and let's get into the NBA Finals and see what happens. And now, that doesn't happen. For the Boston Celtics, I still believe that they were the team with more talent, but they were just out-coached and out-hustled by the Miami Heat. And I take my hat off to the Miami Heat. They had a different guy step up. We saw Bam Adebayo with the big block. We saw a game for 37 points from Tyler Hero. We saw Andre Iguodala step up, hitting, going 5 for 5 from three-point line in that final closeout game. We saw Goran Dragic go off and have a steady series. It wasn't just Jimmy Butler. So much was said about Jimmy Butler leading these guys, and it wasn't even Jimmy Butler. I mean, he was getting called out for being too timid in those first games. In the first half and the opening half, and trying to just be there and turn it on at the end. That's not going to work against the Lakers. I'll tell you that right now. You better come out with a different mindset against the Lakers, because that's not going to work going up against them. But it did work against the Boston Celtics. So my hat goes off to the Miami Heat. Much respect to you guys. You beat us fair and square, and you moved on to the next round. Boston Celtics, you guys have a lot of questions going into next season that I really, really hope can be answered. And Brad Stevens, I feel that, the blame for this, it's on you. I think you need to step up. As a coach, you signed a new contract, but I don't want to see, and I'm sure a lot of Celtics fans agree with me. This season, we should have made it. We should have made it into the NBA Finals. That Celtics was my pick, based on not just the fact that they're my team, but I really felt that we had the depth to compete for the title, and we fell short. And in my honest opinion, the Celtics never looked the same after that second round OG and a newbie three. That the last second, they never looked the same after that. They won the first two games. Then after he hit that three, they just looked like a completely different team moving forward, defeating the Raptors and then coming up short against the Miami Heat. Well, hit me up. Let me know what you think about my thoughts. If you got some other reasons for the Celtics and their loss to the Miami Heat, let me know what you think about this upcoming NBA Finals. My little bro and I, we sat down and we made a video covering that, giving our preview and prediction for the NBA Finals. I would love to get some basketball talk going with you guys. Keep tuning in for more basketball content. There's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA right now, even though we're coming up to this final series. So keep tuning in to Ludi Bros Entertainment to keep up with the basketball knowledge and everything that's going on down there in the bubble. All right, well, thanks for tuning into this video, and I'll see you guys next time.